What are we doing? Every day, I am more and more glad that I read fan fiction instead of new adult fiction. Not to crap on new adult fiction, but fan fiction is comfortable and easy. I know that I liked the main story. I know I liked canon, so I know that generally I will like the world building that is done in fanfiction. I like alternate universes, I like time travel fix-its, I like fantasy AUs and sci-fi AUs and age swaps or role reversals. All of those are great. Because when I read new adult fiction, the books make it really hard for me to continue. Hello everybody, I'm Nina. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. Today we are going to be reviewing A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have a lot of feelings about this book. Some of them are good, a lot of them are bad. I like the way that Sarah J. Maas built the world that she created. I didn't really like the plot. So I was told by my friends that A Court of Thorns and Roses is not the best book in the series. You just have to read it to get to the rest of the books. I haven't read the rest of the books yet. For all I know, I could end up becoming an apologist of these books. But if the first book isn't good, I don't understand how it's supposed to draw you to read the next books. Because the first book isn't good. Let's just get into the plot. A Court of Thorns and Roses takes place in a fantasy apocalyptic Britain where the fair folk, or the Fae, appeared out of nowhere and essentially decided, fuck it, we're just gonna take over the world. And this was like centuries ago. At some point, there was a treaty created that the Fae and the humans would remain separate. There's a wall that was built, similar to like the wall in the north in Game of Thrones, which I also have not read. I do not plan on reading that. I'm not gonna read that book ever. No thank you. I'm sure they're good books. I like my fantasy a lot more fluffy. But there was a wall created keeping magic and the Fae on one side and humans on the other. Now to get to the main plot. The main character, Feyre, or Feyre, is a part of a family of just girls and her father. They used to be part of high society. They were secretly in a lot of debt, and then they dropped down to being poor, which means that not only are they like essentially destitute, they are not used to being in the situation, and so do not really know how to cope. They are near starvation at all times. Feyre's sisters like to pretend that they are still in as high a position as they were, and so don't attempt to do any of the necessary things that they need for survival. And Feyre's dad is, I feel like useless is the best way to put it, because he allows Feyre to essentially take on the parenting role in the family. Feyre is basically, think Katniss Everdeen pre the Hunger Games. Like, that is the role that she has had to take on for her family because nobody else is willing to step up and do the job. One day she goes hunting and she sees a doe in the woods, but she also sees a wolf that attacks the doe. She thinks it might be a Fae because the Fae are able to shift into animal forms, but she shoots both it and the doe anyways because they are near starvation, and she hates the Fae. Not long after Feyre kills the Fae, another wolf fairy comes to their door demanding recompense for the fairy that she killed. The treaty that was created long ago says that it's a life for a life. So essentially, the wolf fairy can either kill her, or she can be taken to live with him on the Fae side of the wall. Out of self-preservation, Feyre chooses to go across the wall with the fairy instead of die. But either way, she is very confident that she is leaving her family to die because they are incapable of taking care of themselves, which she is very worried about, even though her family has objectively not treated her kindly. She finds out that the wolf fairy, Tamlin, is the High Lord of the Spring Court, and she also meets Lucian, who is Tamlin's friend and another fairy who stays with him. She isn't harmed, she isn't locked up, she isn't enslaved or any of the terrible things that she thought was going to happen when she went with them. Tamlin shifts to human form and she finds out, and she sees that all of the fairies actually wear masks, because there is a magical curse or sickness on the land that's affecting magic, and they cannot remove the masks. They also think that it might one day start affecting the land over the wall, i.e. the human lands, if it is not fixed at some point. So Farah is like worried because this means that her family could be affected by like this magical curse. And she's also worried because, like I said before, her family doesn't know how to take care of themselves. But Tamlin basically like lets her know that he is taking care of her family back in the human lands, which he didn't need to do that at all. So that's like the first hint of like something is wrong or different than what Farah is thinking that it is. So while she is in Tamlin's manor, Farah, she's not like given any chores or anything, so she's basically just like an unwilling house guest, a la Beauty and the Beast. Tamlin offers to teach Farah how to read. He gives her painting supplies because she wants to know how to read and she wants to be able to paint. The more time that Farah spends there, the more she realizes that the fairies at the manor are not like telling the entire truth about the like magical like blight on the land or about why she is there. So to get answers, she catches a like lower level fae that is like basically is required to be truthful. From that fae, she finds out that the fairy kingdom Hybern, which is ruled by a king, hates the treaty with the humans and sent his own fays into other courts and kingdoms to infiltrate them. Farah is attacked while with that lower level fae, and Tamlin rescues her, so they kind of become friends after that. Farah keeps hearing about a mysterious her who is doing damage and sounds like a super shady person, and she finds out that they're talking about Amarantha, the self-titled queen of the fairy kingdom. Farah and Tamlin have like a picnic and they kiss. Yay! And then there is a solstice celebration during which Farah is not supposed to go outside, but she does anyways, like a dumbass. The High Lord of the Night Court, Rhysand, who is known to be in Amarantha's pocket and be her like boy toy, shows up at that solstice celebration, and Tamlin is basically like, please do not tell Amarantha about Farah. And Rhysand is like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Farah lies to him about her name. She's basically like, my name is... It's basically like Harry going, my name is Neville Longbottom. So she basically like Harry Potters herself out of it. She's like, my name is Neville Longbottom, essentially. And Tamlin decides that like, shit's too dangerous. You should go back to the human realm because I like you and I don't want you to die, which might happen. When Farah goes back home, she finds out that not only was her family like taken care of in the place that they were given like a whole manor, and people were glamored into believing that they were still part of high society, and that Farah came into a massive inheritance, and that everything was fine. Now, Farah also flops the same way that Harry does. Things just go wrong around her. So the girl who she said that she was, Claire Bedore, her family's house is burned to the ground, all of her family members are murdered, and Claire has been kidnapped. Farah's like, something's wrong, and so she decides to escape from her own house and go back to Tamlin's place to ask him what the heck is going on. She goes back to Tamlin's manor, and she finds the entire place empty. The only person who is still there is Alice, a servant and our queen of exposition for this novel. Alice tells us that the self-titled Queen Amarantha was one of Hybern's emissaries 100 years ago. She fought in the war against the mortals alongside her sister Clythia until Clythia fell in love with a mortal warrior, Jurian, who eventually betrayed Clythia. Amarantha has hated humans ever since. She came without her king's permission and wants to take Prythian as her own kingdom. The Fae have been her slaves for 49 years after she stole part of their power. According to Alice, Farah could have fixed all of it because a curse was put on Tamlin after he refused to like be Amarantha's lover. The curse would have been resolved if he found a human girl who killed a Fae out of hatred but then grew to love him. All of Tamlin's manor was also not allowed to tell Farah about this, and Farah did actually love him, but she didn't verbalize it, which is required for the curse. Which means that Tamlin had been sending out his own men for 49 years over the wall to get killed in the hopes that he would then be able to kidnap the killer and make them fall in love with him. Wait, huh? That is a very convoluted plot. I'm just gonna say, like, right now, before I even finish the plot or get into anything about what I thought of the story, villains that do stuff out of, like, spite that men are not into them, they're very predictable villains, but those kinds of villains, along with the villains that cause chaos just for kicks, are the two most interesting types of villains. Because you understand that motivation. Farah gets Alice, the servant, to take her to Amarantha, where Farah is forced to make a very one-sided deal with the queen. Don't make deals with the Fae. Don't make deals with the Fae. Do not make deals with the Fae. She makes a deal with the Fae. She has to complete 3 tasks, 1 a month, and if she does, Tamlin and all of the Fae court will be free, or she can solve a riddle and they will all be free immediately. Basically, she's completing these tasks under starvation conditions and, like, not peak physical health. In the first task, Farah has to fight one of the worms from Dune, and she does, successfully. Her arm gets really badly injured and infected. Rhysand, who is there, asshole, makes a deal with her to heal her. And the deal is that she's gonna have to spend a week of every month with him for the rest of her life. After that, he forces her to be his escort to parties, where she is given some kind of roofie drug, and does not have any recollection of it, but presumably it was very, like, violating. Her second task is to solve a riddle to save herself and Lucien, but remember, she cannot read. Rhysand uses the tattoo that he placed on her for their deal to essentially tell her what is the right answer to pick. Rhysand also later admits to her that he also wants Amarantha dead. Yay. The third and final task is that Farah kill 3 innocent Fae. So it's basically the trolley problem in real life. Kill 3 innocent Fae in person so that all of the Fae are freed. So she kills the first 2. The third Fae that she has to kill is actually Tamlin. But Farah figures out that because of the curse, Tamlin has a literal heart of stone instead of figurative. So she stabs him in the heart. He dies, it's technically a death blow, but he is healed. Amarantha then basically tells Farah that she said that the Fae court would be free, but she never said when, and she starts killing Farah. Farah finally gives the answer to the riddle that Amarantha had given her way back before all of the tasks, and she gives the correct answer, love, which frees all of the Fae court immediately, and then Tamlin murders Amarantha, as he should. However, Amarantha already had killed Farah, but because Farah helped the entire Fae court be free of Amarantha, all of the other High Lords use their magic to bring Farah back to life and turn her into a Fae. And then they are all free and they go home. And that's the end of that story. I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. I like Beauty and the Beast retellings. I like that Sarah J. Maas did it. If ever there was a story in which you could use a Beauty and the Beast retelling, it is definitely this one. But with the Beauty and the Beast retelling comes a very predictable ending. Just because you added the 3 tasks from the Triwizard Tournament at the end of it does not mean it's not incredibly predictable. If anything, adding the 3 tasks at the end, it made it feel less cohesive. It felt like I was reading 2 separate books. The first part where she meets Tamlin and it's like the whole, like, oh, there's something dark and mysterious, and then the second part was the Hunger Games. I didn't hate it, but it didn't really fit together in the book. Second, fuck, and I mean this with all of my heart, Amarantha. I do not like this lady. I do not like anything. I don't mind you being anti-human. Honestly, like, we've got misanthropes here too, and there aren't any other species. We just all hate ourselves. I've consumed enough media with anti-human characters that I don't really care if that's like your main motivation. Go for it. If you want to destroy all humans and that's your thing, best of luck to you. But I don't like Amarantha. Why do I not like Amarantha? I do not like Amarantha because she doesn't understand the word no. She wanted to be with Tamlin so bad. She didn't love him, she just thought he was hot. But even if she did love him, she wanted to be with him so bad that when he said no, she cursed him. She cursed him and everybody else. Plus there's the fact that she's like a dictator tyrant with like magical control over the people of that country. I don't like her. I do not like her. Thirdly, Farah the Fae. That wasn't predictable at all. Fourthly, I have been reliably informed that Rhysand is the love interest of the next few books. What? I know that he did not like Amarantha or what she was doing. I'm sure that he probably had a secret plan that required Farah to be drugged up. Maybe? In like the best possible characterization of him, there was a secret plan, and the only reason that he drugged Farah up was so that she wouldn't be beaten by Amarantha's guards. He took advantage of Farah while she was in a vulnerable position to create a deal with her so that she would be required to spend time with him when she did not want to. He drugged her with something that would make her do sexual things with him that she did not want to do. He violated her, even if he did not physically rape her. He put her in a position where she could have been, instead of her being beaten up when he could have healed her. And this is our love interest of the next two stories. I genuinely don't understand how Farah starts trusting him at all. Because were I in that situation, I sure as shit would not. Ultimately, while I liked the world building, A Court of Thorns and Roses just felt like it was a poor retelling of multiple different stories combined together. I'm probably still going to try and read the second one just to see if it gets better, because I have read some doozies in my day, City of Bones being one of them. We were all insane when we read those. That's the review. If you like this video, please make sure to like the video down here and subscribe to my channel if you want to see similar content. I make videos every weekish or so about books and movies and TV shows that I'm into. Also, comment down below if you've read the book, if you've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, what you thought of it. If you're planning to maybe like spite read it or hate read it because of what I said. And if you have any fantasy new adult book recommendations for me, because I'm always on the lookout for good world building. Even if I don't necessarily like the plot, I appreciate good world building. Bye!